Olam Nigeria says it plans to produce a total of 240,000 metric tons of rice in the new farming season. Olam's announcement comes amidst a farming season already disrupted by COVID-19. Anil Nair, the Vice President and Head of Rice Business at Olam Nigeria, now joins me to discuss this and, of course, talk strategies for food security in Nigeria within the COVID-19 pandemic. Anil, a pleasure to have you join us on Closing Bell West Africa. Now, Anil, I have spoken to farmers who haven't been able to plant despite the fact that it is planting season, obviously due to the COVID-19 restrictions. And then we have Olam, on the other hand, planning to produce a total of 240,000 metric tons of rice in the new farming season. What has the COVID-19 pandemic meant to your plans as a rice farmer?
So these are like trying circumstances, and you know that Olam has been in the agriculture sector and one of the biggest manufacturing and agro player in the agriculture sector for the last 31 years. We have we have our footprints across the federation. We operate in 36 states. So our expansion in the rice value chain that you're talking about at the moment, 240,000 tons of paddy milling capacity, out of which 75,000 tons have been added recently. So we had planned this out right from 2019, and hence we are able to add another 75,000 tons to our capacity between our own mill in Rukubi, where our large-scale rice farm is present, as well as with our partner in Kano, Amrava Agro. So by February this year, 2020, our capacity has gone up to 240,000 tons from the 165,000 tons of capacity that we had. We also have plans to increase our capacity in our Rukubi rice mill by 120,000 tons, 100 to 120,000 tons. But that plan is a bit delayed at the moment because of the current situation that we find ourselves in, as the global economies are shut and we're not able to get the machineries and other things at the moment. But I believe things are opening up and we would be on track soon in doing that. We are right in the middle of the planting season, and we see that a lot of planting is happening around us, and wherever we have visited, a lot of rice paddy plantations, rice is being planted at the moment. And by our interactions with our outgrowers, we operate with 22,000 outgrowers in the country, and we source paddy from around the country with more than 100,000 farmers, not only for paddy but for other commodities as well, with cocoa and cashew and other things. We've kind of seen that, especially in the rice sector, a lot of people are actually farmers are wanting to expand the paddy cultivated area. They want to increase it because ever since August, the land borders have been closed. Farmers are able to find better prices and better liquidity, not only for the paddy, but also for the other commodities like maize and yam and cassava and other things. So large-scale plantations have started, and this is just the beginning of the planting period. Going forward, we will be able to assess the situation much better. If you look at the demographics, 50% of the population is roughly in the urban areas and 50% of the population is in the rural areas. So the population density in the planting areas are much lower, and Nigeria is better prepared in those areas to control the pandemic. A lot of awareness has been created not only by the government but also well-meaning corporates like us and others and private players. So if you see a lot of investments, a lot of palliatives, have gone into, and also people have created awareness in the planting areas and others about the pandemic and how to keep safe in that. The government agencies are also doing well. We have seen isolation centers coming up in very rural areas. So there's a lot of things happening, a lot of dynamics and changing things. So I believe that we are quite well positioned. Nigeria is quite well positioned, and we should not have a problem with the food production this time around. But though that needs to be seen, what happens from here
clearly,
onwards.
Anil, if I could come in here.
Yes.
Happy to hear you talk about the expansion plans, and already clearly Olam is synonymous with the word expansion. But now, I do know that the company clearly must have had some guidance and projections ahead of the year 2020 before we began to talk about the COVID-19 pandemic. In view of the latest realities that economies across the globe and companies have had to deal with, should we expect to hear a revised guidance on your projections for 2020?
No, as I said, the projections that we were planting, whatever we have planned, we have executed on them. And with the plantations, our rice farm is now we are doing the land preparation, and we will be cultivating our entire 4,421 hectares, which the planting will start by end of this month, and we'll do our harvest during the months of October and November. We are well set. We have all the laid down procedures in place, social distancing and other norms in place, and we are ensuring that nothing will stop us from getting to our projections for 2020.
So Anil, I'm sure that it will come as no surprise to you if I say I'm curious to know what Olam is doing differently at a time where other companies are obviously having to scale down in view of the latest realities. What's Olam's strategy, if you're willing to share?
You can say strategy as well as you can say a bit of luck on our part, that a lot of our, especially in the rice value chain where we operate, we are in the rural areas where the spread of the pandemic is not much, and we have also played our part in ensuring that the social distancing, hygiene factors, as well as intermovement between one place to the other is limited. We have taken the communities into confidence. They have also helped out. So that has helped in the rice part. But wherever we have operations in Lagos, there are challenges, logistics and other issues. But even the government, for that matter, for our fuel to move in, for our raw materials to move in, there has been tremendous support from the government across the country, state governments, as well as the federal government, because these are essential commodities, and the movement of finished goods, everything was smoothly managed with the help of the government. So we didn't find, though it is extremely difficult to manage, but so far we have been able to manage. Going forward, if things continue like this with the support, I believe we will not find ourselves into a problem, especially in the rice value chain. And moreover, the planting season is coming up. So I don't see a problem at the moment.
And I like that you admitted difficulties in managing current realities. Obviously, you're not alone in that. But in view of the fact that you mentioned the government a few times, brings to mind the fact that the President, Muhammadu Buhari, has actually urged Nigerian farmers to embark on what he's called massive food production this farming season, as part of measures, of course, to ensure food security, because the projections across Africa are not looking exciting at all. I'd like to look at policies now with you, Anil. What's new in terms of policies that encourage what you do from the government? Have you heard anything in the light of the pandemic?
The government, especially there is a lot of inputs that is being given by the government to smallholder farmers as well. The CBN has been stepping in for the last few years, and the government is actually ensuring that the farmers are taken care of, the smallholders especially who are vulnerable, so that the planting can go on. A lot of support from the government with seeds, fertilizers, and all is happening at various state and local government areas. So what we have seen on ground at the moment, wherever rice is being planted now, the acreage, we feel that the acreage is going to improve. Even with respect to facilities of isolation facilities and others, NCDC and others are actually putting up those things in places where the medical facilities were not really there. Like in our surrounding areas, we have seen government facilities come up, a lot of palliatives by the government in with food, with microfinancing and all going into the farmers.
Now, Anil, in terms of, I'm still talking realities, of course, brought by the COVID-19 to Nigeria, and especially in the light of the interstate restrictions and border closure. Have you had any direct impact from these policies on your business?
Yes. See, initially, when the initial border closure had happened, there was a bit of a chaos in the country because nobody knew how to handle it. That was for a week. But the right agencies were approached, and they were immediately things were put in place. And the essential commodities like rice, raw materials, paddy, spare parts, fuel for industries, the packaging materials, the movement of they were made pretty smooth. But having said that, the cost of operations in that has definitely gone up, because the time that used to take in transit from the previous before the pandemic has increased. That is because of the mounted checks that were being made, so that people don't flout the norms. But we didn't suffer any, as I said, it is difficult to manage, but we didn't suffer any outages or stoppages to the operations because of that. The first week was a bit tough, but after that things eased out. And once we got the permissions, the government also stepped in, gave permissions, identifications. Those processes were put in place, and it became smooth. But yes, definitely the cost of operations have increased because of the pandemic, the current situation.
Thank you, Anil, for your time. Anil Nair is Vice